Hi, welcome to Blood Rose Reviews. I am fellow published author Kira Bloodrose. Today we are going to review a book written by a friend of mine, Sunbow Pendragon. It is the first book out of the Black Knight of Avalon Chronicles, and it is called The Ruby Phoenix Part 1. It is a really good book and an extraordinary new take on the tale of King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, as well as Queen Guinevere. It's got a constant adventure and a major love affair. The main character, well, one of the main characters, Diredra, she is the Ruby Phoenix, and she is one unique and amazing woman. She seems to have a lot of knowledge, and she looks quite young from the descriptions in her in the books that the book that Sunbow has written. It is done beautifully, like I said earlier. A wonderful new take. King Arthur himself can't help the arousal of this enchanting woman, and she happens to capture a heart of one of the knights of his round table by the name of Aaron. The arousal that arises in King Arthur towards Diredra is particularly interesting, especially considering him and his wife Guinevere, the queen, is having a hard time with conception and full carry throughout the entire term. She has a sorrowful habit of losing the child before it gets to where they actually deliver. This puts the queen, understandably, in a very depressive mode and is not really in the same quarters as her husband, King Arthur. Therefore, he goes through a lot of tension, and his needs are not fulfilled. It's explained quite interesting throughout the book. He is trying to stay true to his wife, Queen Guinevere, but he's not objective to private conversations in his chambers, and that is actually quite interesting. It's very amazing and quite beautiful on his part. Um, Pardon me. The inner struggle that Aaron himself has with Diredra regarding his unexpected love for her is also extremely enchanting. As far as Diredra and her qualities, she is a very amazing and heroic woman. She has captured the hearts of almost everyone, including Arthur and Lancelot and Sir Kai, who is the cook in this book. And they don't realize exactly how old Diredra is. Of course, she never really divulges that information exactly. That is not really revealed at all, except for towards the end of the book when Aaron and Diredra get into the conversation. There is one particular scene in there where a group of knights are talking with King Arthur, and King Arthur mentioned something about finding Diredra, and they look out of the window and see her across the lake doing her sword work exercises, and the arousal between them all it's very interesting. It's all brought out in such an extraordinary way that it's less detail, but yet it's more than what the detail could actually provide. There is a lot of mystery in this book. There's a lot of constant adventure, and there's twists and turns at every corner. Pardon me. all in all, this is a really, really good book. It's a beautiful book. I recommend it highly. I am actually going to read a section in here on Lady Diredra, who, when she ends up getting knighted, her title becomes Dame instead of Lady, which is quite interesting. And honestly, I love it. This entire book is literally a whole new, unique, take on a very, very old but yet renewable tale on King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. This book has so many different aspects to it. It's uncanny. It is so well, beautifully done. It's such a wonderful book. I can't get over it, and I can't say enough that this is a really good book, that it is wonderful. The part that I'm going to read out to you is on page 121, towards the bottom. Earlier in the book, one of the knights of the round table, Sir Agravain, had tried to relieve her of her war horse, Ebony. And, in his eyes at the beginning, it's Ebony, being a war horse, is not suitable for a lady, a woman. And in his eyes, sword work is best left to the men. And he ends up getting quite a surprise. And I'm going to leave it up to you to grab the book and, read it for yourself. I will also leave it to yourself to discover who the Black Knight actually is. It ends up being very surprising. She has her suspicions when she first goes to Camelot. And once she gets into Camelot and does her own detective work, I guess would be the best way to put it, she ends up discovering exactly who it is and what the goals are, and she starts her training. The section, like I said, is that I'm going to be reading to you is based on the earlier scene of Ebony getting ready to be removed, so he thinks, from Diredra's possession. "What may I do for ye, Sir Agravain?" she asked, halting her work for a moment. "Lady Diredra," he began, having heavily rehearsed this conversation, "I have come to ask for ye consideration. Will ye test me and see if I am fit to have me old sword at me side again?" Diredra suppressed a grin, keeping all traces of mirth from her face. If ye wish, Sir Agravain," she answered, feigning indifference. She went to her sword pack, withdrew the black silk package, and handed it negligently to the man. He took it reverently, carefully unwrapping it and sliding it free from the scabbard. It had been recently cleaned and oiled, he noted, as well as the leather on the grip had been unwrapped, cleaned, and redone so as to improve its use. "You've taken good care o' it, lady," he complimented. "I thank you for that." "'Twas my pleasure, Sir Agravain. 'Tis a noble blade." She needled a bit. He had the good grace to blush and hang his head like a petulant schoolboy. "Come now, let me see you work," she said, and went on guard. He nodded from the opposite side of the circle. "To win back thy blade, you must give an honorable accounting of thyself in this bout," she instructed. She waited until he had readied himself before launching herself against him, slowly at first to show him the rhythm of the steps. He picked up the idea of the kata quickly enough. Soon he matched her step for step. It looked outwardly like the two of them were striving against each other, But Agravain understood what she was teaching him. He paid close attention to each step, each thrust, every parry, and every turn until he matched her. She then increased the pace and then increased it again, testing his patience and balance. Student and knight saw them, swords singing in the warm morning sun, and soon a crowd gathered to watch Diredra teach Agravain a lesson he was unlikely to ever forget. From the sidelines watched Gawain, realizing that Diredra was teaching his brother the work he needed to strengthen his weak, short leg. She made him pivot on it, lunge forward with it, sidestep on it, and depend on it. He saw his brother's face furrowed in concentration and knew that Agravain also realized the truth of the lesson. Finally, Agravain could no longer keep pace and stepped out of the reach of Deirdre's sword, knelt and offered his oath sword back to her. Sir Agravain, do ye understand the nature of your offense? She asked after executing a final turn and stopping. Aye, lady, I would not have treated a male that way. I treated ye, nor would I have tried to confiscate a brother's knight's sword. Excuse me. I thought ye less than myself because of the fact that you're a woman. I know now that's a mistake, and I ask your pardon most humbly, he answered at length. I accept thy apology, warrior to warrior. Take back thy oath sword, Sir Agravain, she answered. Agravain's face lit with joy. He slipped the sword into the scabbard and donned it, then bowed deeply. Thank ye, lady, for this morning's lesson. 'Twas most enlightening, he said gratefully. One last piece of advice. If you don't wish to look a fool come tournament day, then work on that leg as I have just taught ye, she instructed. Do not worry how it looks. It works fine. She laughed in good humor. If ye say so, Lady Diredra, he agreed, and motioned for Gawain, meaning to lean on him. Diredra raised her eyebrows and frowned as Agravain's intent became clear. Stand up for yourself, Agravain, was all she said to make the Orkneyman realize his dependency on his older brother. That is just an example of how she has written Diredra in this book. As you can tell, she used the wording and the accent, the language, exactly how it was back there in that time frame as she perceives it. It makes it really hard to read out loud, but all in all, it is very well worth it. There are next to no spelling or grammatical errors. This was done with such love and such beauty that, there's really no words to describe how wonderfully well this came together. You would have to buy the book and read it in order to see for yourself. I will include the link at the bottom, and if you would like to make a suggestion on what you would like to see reviewed next, or even if you would like to, make a donation to try and help me to get more things together or improve on what is at the back, that's all up to you. All you have to do is take a look at the bottom of the video and you will see all the links that you need. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please like and share, and don't forget to leave a comment. Thank you.